Ne-am întors cu doamna ambasador și am promis că vom aborda subiectul Revoluției din Tunisia, un moment dificil pentru cetățenii tunisieni. Ms. Ambassador, how did you as a citizen, not as a diplomat, felt or lived those, well actually it was quite a year, but those times from one regime to the other?
Well, I would say it came as a surprise, the way it happened, because 1 year, at least 2 years, a few years before it happened, there were signs that something was brewing, something was in the air, something was hotting up. People, a lot of unease, a lot of tension, but everything was like in a steamer, like in a waiting to explode. And you could feel the unease and the tension as a Tunisian, of course. And people were, of course, we were not free to express ourselves. So there was the fear of somebody listening in, the fear that you were, taped. But people, whenever you could confide in somebody, of course we did, because we were worried about the future in our country. Signs were there. But
people were speaking with each other about this?
But you have to really trust somebody in order for you to speak to them. And the question was, how? How was it going to happen, and when? It was how and when.
It was not about the decision.
It was not about. It was not the decision. It was, we knew something was brewing. Because in 2008 already there was tension in the region where the mining region, bassin minier, but it was quelled, it was repressed, and it was not in the media. It was, as usual, hidden from us. But people, because there was the internet, and because people sent images to outlets, media outlets in Europe, it came back to us that way. But you had to see it in hiding. You had to not be outspoken about it. You had to be careful what you said. And also you remember when there were the WikiLeaks
yes, the famous
revelations, the famous
ones, yes.
Then you could start noticing that people would speak out more easily, because it had a fun element. The WikiLeaks were making fun of our leaders of the time.
Yes.
Making ridicule. Yes. So ridicule lessens the fear a little bit.
Yes.
So it was a lot of talking. But if you looked at somebody, they would stop, of course, and act as if. But when it happened, it took us by surprise. It was December 17. Yes. A young man, out of desperation, just lit fire and burned himself. And that was in itself a tragic, dramatic, but it wasn't the first such incident, but that was
the highest level of resistance, or
no, it attracted more attention than other similar incidents, and because it was followed by protest in Sidi Bouzid by the family and friends, and because the protest was met by repression, then it escalated out of control. I remember feeling the moment we heard that shots were fired, I felt, oh my God, this is it. It's not going to stop.
They
committed the
ultimate possible crime, killing your people.
Blood is shed. It's never going to stop. And what happened was the curtain of fear, just went down. Because people at first protested with their bare chests.
Yes.
Came out to protest. This young man that died out of desperation.
Yes.
They could not even meet officials to be able to let out their anger, and protest was met by violence. And it was clear. It was not, but it was not in Tunis yet. The last half of December 2010. I remember then the slogan of that year chosen by the authorities was الشباب هو الحل, meaning youth is the solution.
Ah, okay.
How ironic.
Yes.
And that year, young people rose to say the desperation about, and at first the slogans were about economic desperation. It was about not having enough to eat, or
living. Yeah.
If you have diplomas and no jobs, and what do you do? Just rot?
Absolutely.
And then they became about the political situation. They became about the corruption. They took a political twist, and of course, in the ground there were, of course, at the level of the regions, the organizations like the Union Générale des Travailleurs Tunisiens, like some movements, and they took that dimension, national.
What is interesting is what you mentioned. One of the interesting aspects from your description is that the revolution did not start it from the capital.
No.
And this
it started in the deprived regions.
This should be mentioned again.
Sidi Bouzid.
Yeah, Sidi Bouzid.
And they feel that it should be that both dates are in the constitution as the dates of the revolution. December 17 and January 14. January 14 was the culmination. Was the day that the dictator left.
Yes.
And the day that people came in the morning, not knowing, of course, that by the afternoon he would leave, saying dégage, the famous. And where did they stop? In front of the Ministry of the Interior, that was considered at the time the symbol for the repression.
Of course. And
torture and the like.
Well, we have in common here two things. One is Romania and...
The dates. The dates.
The dates, and also
December 17.
December 17, yes, but also something else. The fact that the revolution did not start in the capital.
Exactly.
In Romania, it started in Timișoara.
Yeah.
In your case, it did not started in Tunis, and it's incredible. Probably because the capitals are easier to be controlled by the leaders. I don't know, but it is something which.
Well, it started in Sidi Bouzid. I don't think it's a coincidence, because the level of despair, not only in that town, but along the border with the
living standards are very, very low.
Oh, really awful. What we discovered right after the revolution, because TV, the Tunisian national TV, with the cameras, they went there and they showed us how people lived, and we felt like,
wow,
oh my goodness, not a wow, like. All the extent of the lying, because we were showed those places before, but in another light, like
full shop and so on.
Like they had everything, and the roads were constructed, and they had. Tunisians have a saying. So now you have the road, and you have the electricity, and you have the running water, because that's all supposedly that's all you need. Because you had declaration statements by people, national TV would go there and put the camera and the microphone, and so are you happy now that our leader, our beloved leader, brought to you? Yes, of course we are happy, and we have everything we need now, thanks to... and
yes,
then,
it's typical for dictatorships, yes.
And then we discovered the awful truth. These people just lived in a state that we could not believe. We could not believe this was Tunisia 50 years after independence. And I want to really be remembering everything in my memory, because after the revolution, after a short time, let's say, people forget.
Yes.
People forget, and
yes.
people start saying, because we had so much expectation. We wanted the revolution to change everything. But it doesn't, of course.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And people start saying, well, at least, you know, before we used to have the security, and we used to have this, and we used to have that. And it's as if they go back and see it with other eyes, or
nostalgia.
With nostalgia,
yeah.
And I'm like shocked by it.
Ms. Ambassador, it happened also. It happens in Romania as well. If you will ask, at least 30% of Romanians are sorry for the old times when Ceausescu was in power, because they also considered, oh, they were having a stable job, or I don't know, security, whatever they considered they had. But democracy, it's easy to be condemned, you know, when you have it. It's
when
like,
you have it and it doesn't feed you, and it doesn't give you a job, and it doesn't make you feel secure in everything you want to have. It doesn't give you a house. It doesn't. And right after the revolution, that's what we saw.
Yes.
We saw people in droves. Everybody who was deprived of something wanted to have it.
Yes.
And thought that his or her right was paramount. And you had to now. When do you want it? Now. And that put a lot of pressure.
Yes, yes. On the leaders, but also
on the transitional leaders, because we had many to start dispersing, to start compensating all the victims, because we had, remember, we had over 300, just barely 300, officially 300 victims who died, and many hundreds of people who were injured and who were coming and in front of the cameras and who were desperate because they were in a sorry state and they needed the attention. And the attention was, first of all, given by the media. People were in the streets protesting, claiming, and there was a lot of pressure to do something about it.
But it took quite some time. It was not easy. The revolution was not easy in your case. For us, was a matter of a few days, a month. In your case, it took a while, and I'm wondering why. It was.
What do you call the revolution?
The revolution in Romania actually took very little time. It was not the 1989. Coming from communism against Ceausescu. It was starting in 16th of December, and it ended by 25 of December. In your case, it took a much longer time, and
well, I thought it was by regional standards. It didn't take long.
Well, by regional standards, yes. Yes, if we look to your region, it
took the time for it to reach the capital, for the uprising to reach the capital. When it was there, the suburbs and where la périphérie, where we have the suburbs, the popular suburbs of Tunis. And also, I remember a day. I remember it was my first week as director in the ministry. And it was such a tumultuous week. It was, I remember a day when I was receiving a delegation and I had to be in a meeting, official meeting, and my mother was on the phone telling me that my dad had not returned home and he was in a place where there was firing and people were telling me, and it was a popular district in Tunis, and my goodness, I remember being in a meeting and my mind was not in any of the themes we were discussing.
I'm wondering one thing, Ms. Ambassador. It's a human question. Did you feel fear at any moment in those times? For you or for the country?
For my country. I felt exhilaration. I felt the fear of the unknown, because the fear came before. The fear was years before, like, where are we heading? The question was, where are we heading? We could see the corruption. We could see it was not viable. It was not, we were in a country where people supposedly had enough to feeding their families, where they had enough to go for an outing and to have vacation, but it was not the case for everybody. People were deprived of jobs, but we didn't see them. They were like under the carpet. We discovered that after the revolution. But we could feel the enormous tension, and it was not, we knew the model was not viable. So the fear was there before. And when it started, there was a feeling of exhilaration. Something is happening. Something very important is happening. And you had the feeling it did. And when it reached the capital, it was clear there would be a rupture point. And when it came, the day of dégage, I think everybody who was not in Habib Bourguiba Avenue wished they were. They all wished they were.
Very nice described, but I'm wondering now, Ms. Ambassador, what are the new challenges of the country? Because having democracy, as you mentioned, doesn't really solve everything.
No, it doesn't.
And our organization has in its name
but it does, in a way.
Yeah.
People say, if you ask Tunisians,
okay.
Even now, what did you gain? They'd say, oh, I don't think we gained much except for the freedom of expression.
That's really nothing. Well, unfortunately, on Maslow pyramid, you know, the needs are the basic is not for the majority are not the.
But we know as Tunisians that we gained much by gaining a new constitution, by gaining the process of being a part of it, because people, while the constitution was drafted, they would participate either by keeping informed of everything, by watching the debates in parliament, because they were there, aired. We could see everything. The sometimes very hard debate. We could see where things blocked, because they did. Yes. And so people sometimes protested in the street. They protested either for this article about emancipation of women, to keep equal rights for women, and you'd see everybody who were never involved in their life, in the public life, in political life, be there, because they felt this is about me. Yeah. This is about the future. Yes. This is for my children. Exactly. So this is what we gained. Yes. And we gained also the fact that the process came to a crowning with the constitution being adopted at the end of January 2014, after the national dialogue process took us
after
to where we could resume, the discussions about the constitutions, to where we chose a technocrat government. So the politicians accepted to step down, which was not easy, which came as a result.
In the meantime, yes.
In the meantime. So we know we gained much by having universal values, human rights values enshrined in the Constitution, the principle of positive discrimination for the regions deprived before, and the basic rights enshrined in that Constitution.
Ms. Ambassador, my colleague is making me sign that we have a few minutes left, and I want to ask, of course, two more questions. One is, of course, regarding the vulnerability that your country is facing now because of the events in the Middle East, because of the events in your neighbors. We have terrorist organizations active in Egypt, in the north of Egypt, in other countries as well. And I'm wondering, how is your country positioning itself to all these events that are taking place around you?
I would start by saying that we know we are not the only ones that are targeted, because things like that happened, and unfortunate events happen on European soil. We know that we should all work together in order to prevent this kind of attack happening. We know that democracy is targeted in Tunisia, because you have to be somebody who rejects the whole process. Democracy as a way, as a foundation for political life, for economic life. When you reject the opportunity given to interact, to express freely your voice, and you choose violence, there is no way we can deal with this.
Absolutely.
But we know, other than to impose the rule of law and to counter that terror by using the means that the state has, and the state is reinforcing, the authority in Tunisia is reinforcing the answer to the security measures are there to protect Tunisians, to protect our visitors, and they are there to be seen in our streets and in our airports, and all the measures necessary to make everybody feel safer, Tunisians as well as visitors.
Please.
And also to reinforce the cooperation of Tunisia with everybody concerned, by all the nations concerned, whether in the nearby region or also it extends to European countries and on the international, at the international level too, because Tunisia has signed conventions to fight terrorism, money laundering, corruption. So we are also present in meetings, regional meetings, to try and face up to the situation.
Ms. Ambassador, I have less than one minute to the end of the talk show, and I don't want to waste it not to ask this question. What is a female ambassador is doing in the free time in Bucharest? Let me complete the question. A female Arab ambassador, or I don't know, Arab, African, European.
Do you want the answer that some provided in Facebook at the time I came here?
No.
Shopping. I had barely stayed for 3 weeks, and some people who wanted to be critical and said, "Oh, all these female ambassadors, they go shopping." Yeah.
Well, they were just mean.
They were just mean. Yeah.
But now let's be serious. I mean, what are you doing in your spare time?
Yeah, I love.
Not when you are an ambassador. Well, you are always an ambassador.
I love to meet friends in an informal setting and chat away and discover Bucharest. And I would like to do more, like what I usually do in Tunis: see films, theater. Maybe when I start getting more familiar with Romanian.
Well, the movies are in English. You can go in the
But how about
cinemas.
theater?
Oh, with the theater.
Yeah, with theater. I love theater.
Yes.
And also I like to discover parts of Romania. It's a beautiful country. And also we should do more, and maybe Tunisian media also, show more about Romania. And
we are here to help. I mean, if we can do anything to help, it would be great. For sure, we will broadcast footages and.
Tunisia is not very much known, but Romania also should be.
Should do more.
Should do more.
I want to thank you, Ms. Ambassador. It was more like a chat than a talk show.
Well, it was very pleasant.
It was very pleasant, very let's say relaxing.
Mulțumesc.
I also thank you. I don't know how to say in Arab.
Shukran.
Shukran. Okay. And we are waiting for you at any moment to tell us what is happening in your country, in your region.
Yes, because I didn't tell you about the students.
Yeah, that's true. We will do that for sure next time. Thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Vă mulțumesc și noastră pentru că v-ați uitat la noi și vă aștept săptămâna viitoare cu un alt ambasador. O seară plăcută!